What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Star Wars season here on Cinematic Reviews. You can find this episode and many more episodes on Anchor, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Today, I give my thoughts on the Book of Boba Fett, along with some fun categories. But before I get into all that, let's talk some facts. The Book of Boba Fett is a Disney Plus original that consisted of 7 episodes and premiered on December 29th, 2021. In the first episode, 3 real-life Boston Dynamics robots can be seen in the streets of Mos Espa. These were the dog-looking droids that we saw. Pedro Pascal never physically portrayed Mando, sadly. He was filming The Last of Us at the time, so he was forced to record his lines on break. Corey Burton, who plays Cad Bane, also voiced the character in the animated shows Bad Batch and Clone Wars. Boba Fett says he rode much larger animals. This could be a reference to when he was riding a dinosaur-like creature in the Star Wars Holiday Special. Ming-Na Wen didn't have to audition for the role of Fennec Shand. She is a Star Wars superfan, so she chalks it up to right place, right time. Morrison and Ming-Na Wen performed a lot of their own stunts. The mayor of Mos Espa is a combination of prosthetics and animatronics. The Rancor's destruction of Mos Espa is a reference to the original King Kong film. And lastly, this is Black Crescenton's live-action debut. He first appeared in the Darth Vader comics with Boba Fett. Now, let's get to my thoughts on Book of Boba Fett. So I absolutely love this series. I know a lot of fans aren't positive on it as I am, and I understand the disappointment. It was only 7 episodes and 2 of them were Mandalorian episodes. But regardless, I'm at the point now that I trust Favreau and Filoni enough to even love the worst of the Star Wars universe. We are really lucky to have these 2 giant Star Wars nerds and genius directors spearheading the universe right now. With the Obi-Wan series coming out next week and the 3rd season of Mandalorian right around the corner, it is a great time to be a Star Wars fan. Book of Boba Fett is such a joy to watch. I've probably seen it 3 times all the way through now, and I love it even more with each rewatch. Morrison and Ming-Na Wen have such great chemistry on screen. I love their takes on Boba Fett and Fennec Shand. I know a lot of people didn't care for the goofiness that Morrison brought to the character, but I loved it. You can tell Morrison has a lot of respect for the character while still putting his own spin on it. Like The Mandalorian, the cameos, again, are insane in this series. Timothy Olyphant returning as a suave Cobb Vanth Marshal was great, and finally getting Chrysanthemum in a live-action project was just incredible. We also get the return of Rosario Dawson's Ahsoka and Luke Skywalker himself. The CGI that they did on him for this series was far better than what we saw in the Season 2 finale of Mandalorian. But the cameo I was most excited and shocked by was Corey Burton returning as Cad Bane. Filoni did such an awesome job with literally pulling him out of the animated series and turning him into live action. A lot of people had issues with the design of him, like they did with the Pikes, but I think Filoni nailed it. Animation is just a different ballgame when it comes to designing characters. Plus, Filoni's main goal is to make the character fit inside the current universe that he's working on. If he made Bane 100% accurate to the animated shows, the character more than likely would have looked a little off. The main plot of the series is pretty straightforward and small, but I think that's perfect. A series like this should be small so that it can focus more on the relationships between characters, like the relationship between Morrison and Ming-Na Wen. This is one of my favorite shows, not just within the Star Wars universe itself, but in general as well. It's right up there with Mandalorian and Marvel's Hawkeye for me. So next, I'll talk about each episode individually with some fun categories. Chapter 1, Stranger in a Strange Land, directed by Robert Rodriguez. So the series opens up the only way it should, with an awesome scene of Boba Fett escaping the Sarlacc pit. Fans have been waiting for this moment since Return of the Jedi, and Disney didn't disappoint. It was incredibly choreographed and well executed. Boba stealing the oxygen for the dead stormtrooper and then using his flamethrower to escape was incredible. Once he does escape, the Jawas steal his armor and leave him to die from the Sarlacc acid. He is then captured by Tusken Raiders, who bring him to their camp. We jump forward 5 years to Boba and Fennec Shand receiving tributes from the locals after taking control over Jabba's criminal empire on Tatooine. They also gave the service of 2 Gamorrean guards, which is awesome and a great callback to Jabba having 2 Gamorrean guards as well. Boba and Fennec visit the Sanctuary, which is a cantina in Mos Espa run by Garsa. We get a look inside, and it's a beautifully designed casino. We get a fun little joke from Fennec about Boba's helmet being shinier than hers due to Garsa's tribute. Outside the cantina, Boba and Fennec are ambushed by assassins, and it's an awesome fight scene. Again, the choreography is so well done in this series, especially in this scene. Boba is injured, so the Gamorreans take him back to the Bacta tank, while Fennec pursues the remaining assassins. We get some more awesome choreography from Ming-Na Wen before she captures the remaining assassin. Back at the palace, Boba has a memory inside the Bacta tank, which will be a recurring theme in the series. I think it's a neat and unique way of getting more backstory on Boba Fett. He remembers his time at the Tusken camp, where he and a Rodian are forced to dig for black melons in the desert. While they do this, they're attacked by a large four-armed creature that kills the Rodian instantly. Boba manages to kill the creature before it can kill the young Tusken by strangling it. This earns Boba some respect from the rest of the Tuskens, allowing him to become part of the tribe. So for the categories, favorite quote would have to be, "I will rule with respect." This was a great way to show what kind of leader Boba intends on being in Mos Espa. Favorite scene, Boba escaping the Sarlacc is by far the best scene in this episode and one of the top moments in the entire series. Favorite Boba Fett moment, Boba saving the young Tusken from the creature was a great character moment for him in this episode. Chapter 2, The Tribes of Tatooine, directed by Steph Green. Boba and Fennec interrogate the remaining assassin who gives up his employer, the mayor of Mos Espa. Boba then confronts the mayor, who of course denies it and offers to pay Boba for capturing the assassin. I love the design and techniques that went into bringing this character to life. The animatronics were really cool, and the translator was a nice touch. At the request of the mayor, Boba and Fennec visit the sanctuary once again. Garza informs that the Jawa cousins, who are referred to as the twins, are seeking to claim Jawa's throne for themselves on the sole basis of blood. The twins arrive with a Wookiee bounty hunter named Chrysanthemum. This is an awesome moment for any Star Wars fan. He's such a badass character, and the design of him is perfect. It's as if he leaped off the pages of the comics. Favreau and crew have done it once again. The twins and Chrysanthemum intimidate Boba, giving up the throne, but, of course, Boba refuses. Back in the Bacta tank, Boba remembers one of the Tuskens teaching him their ways of combat and surviving in the desert. While this is going on, the tribe is attacked by a Pike Syndicate spice train. Fans probably remember the Pikes best from the animated series Clone Wars. They look a lot different in live action, but that's to be expected. Animation is just a different ballgame when it comes to designing characters. It's like the design of these Pikes. I like the designs of these Pikes a lot, and they fit well in this universe that Favreau has created. Boba decides to steal some speeder bikes from the Nikto game that's been terrorizing locals. This is where we get the awesome fight scene in the bar. Boba is such a deadly badass with a stick. Boba returns to the tribe, and this is where we get the fun montage of him teaching the Tuskens how to ride a speeder bike. Like a bantha. I love that line so much. Once the Tuskens have been trained enough, they attack the Pike train. We get some more awesome choreography as the Tuskens battle the Pikes on top of the train. The Tuskens and Boba hold their own, and they are able to stop the train. Boba tells the Pikes that they have to pay a toll to the Tuskens in order to enter their lands. The Pikes reluctantly agree and are forced to walk back to town with only black melons for survival. In order to be fully admitted into the tribe, Boba must be guided by a lizard to retrieve the branch for his gaffy stick. But there's a catch. The lizard must be inside Boba's head while he searches for the branch. We get a cool scene of a hallucinated Boba searching for his branch in the desert. I love that we see him shifting back and forth in the desert from his desert outfit to his Mandalorian armor. This whole hallucination scene was well done. Boba then finds his branch, and the Tuskens help him create his gaffy stick. This is another cool montage, and we get to really appreciate the Tuskens' way of life. The tribe then celebrates in the acceptance of Boba with a cool Tusken dance around the fire. So for favorite quote, "I'm sorry, I think I swallowed it." This is a fun little line for Boba that leads into a great moment of him being hallucinated. Favorite scene would have to be Boba teaching the Tusken Raiders to ride speeder bikes. It was really fun to watch. Favorite Boba Fett moment? Boba being guided to the branch for his stick is another great character moment for him in this series. Chapter 3, The Streets of Mos Espa, directed again by Robert Rodriguez. Boba is visited by a local watermonger who is played by Stephen Root from Dodgeball and Office Space. I really don't like this casting. All I saw was his characters in previous movies instead of the watermonger that he was playing. He should have been covered up with some kind of prosthetics or even some makeup. The watermonger requests that Boba punish a group of cyborgs who are stealing his water. When Boba discovers that the gang is not working, he employs them as enforcers and demands that the watermonger lower his prices. This was a great character moment for Boba. It showed that he refuses to be a pushover in Mos Espa. Back at the palace, Boba remembers seeking the toll from the Pikes on behalf of the Tuskens. He then finds the entire tribe killed by the Nikto biker gang. This was surprisingly a pretty emotional scene. I never thought that I would see the day where I mourn the loss of Tusken Raiders. Boba's memory is then interrupted when Chrysanthemum attacks the palace. We get an awesome fight sequence between Boba and Chrysanthemum before the cyborgs and Fennec join in to Boba's aid. At one point, Chrysanthemum starts to crush Boba's back with a hug, and it sounded very painful. All the choreography in this scene was incredibly done. Our heroes managed to subdue Chrysanthemum and trap them down below in the abandoned Rancor pit. The twins arrive to apologize for sending Chrysanthemum. They claim that the mayor is promising Jabba's territory to another syndicate. The twins vow to leave Tatooine and give Boba a Rancor as a gift. The Rancor is delivered by none other than Danny Trejo himself. Even though Rodriguez directed this episode, I was still really surprised to see Trejo show up. We have Rosario Dawson, Katie Sackhoff, Bill Burr, and now Danny freaking Trejo in this universe. It's a great time to be a Star Wars fan. The twins also release Chrysanthemum to Boba before departing, and it's another great character moment for Boba. He immediately sets Chrysanthemum free and advises him to quit working for Skullholds. We then get this great first meeting of Boba and the Rancor. Morrison played this father figure meeting his child for the first time in such a fun way. I absolutely love what Morrison is doing with the Boba Fett character. Knowing what happens in the finale makes this moment even more special. Boba and Fennec then decide to pay the mayor a visit in Mos Espa. I love the line, "Did he just lock the door?" from Boba when the Major Domo tries to pull a fast one on him and Fennec. They chase down the Major Domo after discovering that the mayor is gone in a pretty cool sequence. The Major Domo reveals that the mayor is working with the Pike Syndicate. We get a final shot of the Pikes arriving in Mos Espa, which causes Boba to prepare for a war. So favorite quote, "Don't work for Skullholds, it's not worth it." I love this short, it's just business interaction between Boba and Chrysanthemum. Favorite scene would have to be Boba and the gang fighting Chrysanthemum in the palace. It was so incredibly well done from a choreography standpoint. Favorite Boba Fett moment? Boba meeting the Rancor for the first time is such an awesome moment, especially knowing what happens in the finale. Chapter 4, The Gathering Storm, directed by Kevin Tanchorin. In the back to tank, Boba remembers discovering Fennec after she was left for dead back in the Mandalorian series. Boba takes her to a mod parlor in Mos Eisley in order to save her with cybernetics. This was a pretty cool montage of the mod guy putting parts inside Fennec's gut in order to save her. In return for saving her life, Boba requests her help in retrieving his ship that is located in Jabba's palace, which at the time was being ruled by Bib Fortuna. We get a great action sequence of Boba and Fennec fighting the palace guards. Seeing all the different droids in the kitchen was really fun, especially when Boba scares the rabbit-looking droid by saying, "Do you know who I am? I am Boba Fett." After they manage to take the ship back, Fennec decides to stay with Boba for a while. Their first stop is to kill the biker gang that Boba believes is responsible for the deaths of the Tuskens. They then fly to the Sarlacc pit to retrieve his armor. But instead of finding his armor, the Sarlacc attacks the ship and tries to consume it. It's a really intense scene to watch, but with some quick thinking, Fennec deploys the seismic charge and blows up the Sarlacc. Back in present time, Boba emerges from the back of the tank fully healed. He pays the Sanctuary another visit in an attempt to recruit Chrysanthemum. We get a really cool scene of Chrysanthemum fighting a couple of Trandoshans. Then Garza tries to calm him down, but Chrysanthemum says fuck it and rips the Trandoshan's arm off. It was a really nice callback to our favorite Wookiee, Chewie. Boba then hires Chrysanthemum for his fight against the Pikes. Back at the palace, Boba holds a banquet in an attempt to urge the other crime bosses of Mos Espa to unite against the Pikes, but they refuse. After witnessing the presence of the Rancor below, Boba convinces them to remain neutral in this fight with the Pikes. They all agree, and Fennec suggests to Boba that he hires some more muscle. We end this episode with the Mandalorian theme, and it gets me excited every time I watch it. So for favorite quote, "Do you know who I am? I am Boba Fett." I've noticed that this is a recurring theme in the show. Boba likes to remind people who he is in order to demand respect from the people of Mos Espa. Favorite scene would have to be Boba and Fennec. Blowing up the Sarlacc was such an intense scene that it was really well done. Bringing back the seismic charge again was a nice touch. Favorite Boba Fett moment. Boba saving Fennec from her wounds was another great character moment. I love their relationship, and I hope to see more of them in the future together. Chapter 5, Return of the Mandalorian, directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. We open up the episode with a killer action sequence. Our favorite Mandalorian, Din Djarin, is tracking down his latest bounty. He finds his target in a meat processing plant, and I love the shot of Mando standing outside the room behind the plastic flaps. We only see a dark figure at first, but we know it's our boy Mando. He says his favorite line, "I could bring you in warm, or I could bring you in cold," before killing everyone in the room and taking the head of his bounty. I love the choreography with the darksaber, not just in this scene, but in this entire episode. It's a nice change of pace seeing Mando struggle with something, especially with him injuring himself with a darksaber. He creates room for character development and gives our hero something to overcome. Mando trades the head for directions to a Mandalorian hideout. He finds the armor that we met in season 1 of Mandalorian, along with Paz Vizsla. The armor inspects the darksaber and gives Mando the backstory of it. It must be won in combat, and whoever holds it shall become the ruler of Mandalore. The armor turns Mando's Beskar spear into armor for Grogu, because that is the true purpose of Beskar. Afterwards, the armor helps train Mando in using the darksaber, but Mando struggles to fight his opponent instead of the darksaber itself. Vizsla challenges Mando to a duel for the darksaber, and Mando accepts. We get an intense fight sequence between the two Mandalorians until Mando is able to defeat Vizsla. But Mando must reveal that he broke the code by removing his helmet. The armor is forced to cast Mando aside and denounce him as a Mandalorian. Rejected by the Mandalorians, Mando takes a transport to meet Moto on Tatooine, who has a replacement for the Razor Crest. It is revealed to be an old N1 starfighter from Naboo. This blew my freaking mind. Favreau and Filoni continue to make the prequels relevant and awesome. Together, Mando and Moto modify the starfighter in a great montage. We even get some fun interactions with some Jawas. It's even revealed multiple times that Moto used to date a Jawa, which was really random, but kind of fun at the same time. Once the newly modified starfighter is finished, Mando takes it for a test drive, and it's freaking awesome. I love the look and sound of it. It has a cool old muscle car feel to it, and it's crazy fast. At one point, Mando flies it through Beggar's Canyon, which, if you remember, is part of the track that Anakin ran during the famous pod race in Phantom Menace. I love all the callbacks in these shows, especially this one. Mando is then stopped by a couple of Rebel X-Wing fighters, but outruns them with the new modifications. Once he returns to Moto's hangar, Fennec stops by to ask him for his help in Boba Fett's war with the Pikes. Mando agrees, but must first pay a visit to a little friend. So for favorite quote, the darksaber is more noble weapon for you. I love the language that people use in this universe when talking about sabers, especially this darksaber scene. Favorite scene, Mando testing out the new ship is so fun and awesome. I think it's way better than the Razor Crest. Favorite Mando moment, Mando looking at Grogu's gift on the cruiser is such an awesome moment for the character. His face is covered with the helmet, but you can still see how much he cares for the little guy. Chapter 6, From the Desert Comes a Stranger, directed by Dave Filoni. So this episode opens up with our boy Cobb Vanth, played again by Timothy Olyphant. He comes across a couple of Pikes who are running spice near Freetown, which is the new name of Mos Pelgo. He instructs them to stop their spice run and leave, but he ends up shooting them all except for one, who he leaves alive to deliver a message to the rest of the Pike Syndicate. I love his favorite line, "Think it through," that he says whenever he gets into a standoff. Olyphant is so good in this role. Next, we switch over to Mando, who arrives to a forested world where Grogu is. He's greeted first by R2 and then Ahsoka. I love that we get to see the construction of Luke's training temple, which I assume is the one that we saw in the sequel trilogy. Ahsoka convinces him that his presence will distract Grogu too much during his training. He asks Ahsoka to give Grogu his gift and heads back to Tatooine. Splitting up Mando and Grogu is a huge knife in the heart, and this scene just twists that knife even more. Next, we jump over to Luke meditating with Grogu, who is more interested in the frogs than his training. I love this a lot because it's definitely what a kid would do in this situation. The CGI of Luke looks a lot better than in the season 2 finale of Mandalorian, and I also love that when they walk together, Luke uses the Force to help Grogu move around faster. It was a small detail, but it was really fun to watch. He then helps Grogu remember his past, and we get a crazy shot of Grogu scared at the Jedi Temple during Order 66. We then get a cool montage of Luke training Grogu with lightsaber movements and jumping skills. And then we also get a callback to when Luke ran around Dagobah with Yoda on his back, but this time it was Grogu. While Grogu trains with the floating training ball, we get an awesome interaction between Luke and Ahsoka. Luke reminds her of Anakin, and it was so cool to hear her reference her old master. She then departs, leaving Luke to train Grogu on his own. Back on Tatooine, Boba discusses their strategy against the Pikes. Mando offers to recruit Cobb Vanth and the people of Freetown to help, but Vanth is hesitant to agree. Mando leaves, and Vanth instructs the people to come together to discuss Boba Fett's proposal. But before they could call a meeting, a mysterious figure approaches Freetown. It is revealed to be none other than the hired gun, Cad freaking Bane. I love the design of him, and it was a great choice to bring back Corey Burton to play him once again. Cad Bane instructs the people of Freetown to stay neutral in the war between the Pikes and Boba Fett. Vanth and Bane have an intense standoff before Bane shoots both Vanth and his deputy. Bane leaves with this awesome line: "As long as the spice keeps flowing, everyone will be left alone." He is so menacing in this scene, and I love it. Back in Mos Espa, 2 Pikes bomb the sanctuary, killing everyone in it, including Garsa. The episode ends with Luke giving Grogu an ultimatum: take the Beskar chainmail that was gifted to him and return to Mando, or become a Jedi and take up Yoda's lightsaber as his own. Seeing Yoda's lightsaber again was so cool, especially seeing Luke hold it. So for favorite quote, I'm a friend of the family. I love every reference to Anakin in this episode. Finally having Ahsoka in live action is incredible, especially having her interact with Luke. Favorite scene? Cad Bane showing up in Freetown blew my freaking mind. Corey Burton nailed the character once again. Favorite Baby Yoda moment? All the scenes with Grogu and Luke are just incredible and really cute. It's hard to just pick one, so I'll just lump them all together as one moment. Chapter 7, In the Name of Honor, directed once again by Robert Rodriguez. Boba Fett, Fennec Shan, and Mando are confronted by Cad Bane and the Pikes outside the ruins of the sanctuary. We get an intense standoff between Boba and Bane, where Bane reveals that the Pikes killed his Tusken tribe and framed the biker gang for it. This is a huge trigger for Boba, but Fennec convinces him to fight Bane on their own terms, not his. Boba restrains himself, and our heroes hunker down in the sanctuary. Meanwhile, R2 arrives at Moto's hangar with Grogu, who decided to wear the Beskar shirt and return to Mando. As much as I wanted him to wield Yoda's lightsaber, I think this was the best choice. We can't have Mando without Grogu at his side. It is then revealed that the other crime families betrayed Boba and start to attack his forces throughout Mos Espa. The cyborgs get pinned down in an alley, while Chrysanthemum gets the shit beat out of him down the street. Boba and Mando send out the Major Domo to negotiate, quote unquote, with the Pikes. But it was just a trick by Boba. I love how the Major Domo is like, fuck, when he realizes that Boba played him. Mando and Boba come flying down right before the Pikes can blast the shit out of the Major Domo. I absolutely love this shot. The choreography with jetpacks in these shows is just incredible. They soon become outnumbered before the people of Freetown show up to help. The cyborgs also arrive after being saved by Fennec, and Chrysanthemum shows up very banged up as well. Then 2 Scorpionek droids show up and just start wrecking shit. Our heroes try everything to stop them, but they're no match for the Scorpioneks. Mando even pulls out the Darksaber at one point. The shields are too strong for even that. During the chaos, Moto arrives with Grogu, and we get an awesome reunion between him and Mando. Grogu helps Mando destroy one of the Scorpioneks by using the Force to distract it, so that Mando can slice it up with the Darksaber. I love the teamwork between these two guys. I'm really excited for Season 3 of Mandalorian. Boba arrives riding the Rancor and destroys the remaining Scorpionek. The choreography is so well done, and Boba looks like a badass on that Rancor. Cad Bane scares off the Rancor with his flamethrower, and we get an awesome showdown between him and Boba finally. Boba ends the duel by killing Bane with some awesome choreography with his gaffy stick. The Rancor then becomes out of control, destroying everything in sight. Grogu takes it upon himself to put the Rancor to sleep by using the Force and ending the rampage. We then get a cute scene of Grogu sleeping next to the Rancor, and it's just adorable. In Mos Eisley, we catch up with Fennec, who turns out was on a secret mission to kill the crime lords and the mayor. She sneaks into their hideout, and we get an awesome scene of her killing them one by one. At one point, she kills the mayor by strangling him very violently, and he's just left hanging there from the ceiling like a piñata. While Mos Espa praises Boba, Mando and Grogu fly off in the N1 Starfighter for their next adventure. We then get our second post-credit scene in the Star Wars universe. It is revealed that Cobb Vanth is alive and healing in Boba's bacta tank. I'm really excited to see him return, either modified, completely healed up, or a combination of both. So for favorite quote, negotiations are terminated. I love the entire interaction between Boba Fett and Cad Bane. Boba wasn't taking any shit from it. Favorite scene, Boba Fett fighting Cad Bane was incredible and very well done. I loved it a lot. Favorite Boba Fett moment, Boba riding the Rancor was such an awesome payoff. The choreography and the way they shot it was so awesome. Now, at the end of the episode, let's see where this lands on the Star Wars rankings. Book of Boba Fett is an awesome series. I honestly love every episode of it. I know a lot of fans were pretty low on it, especially because 2 of the 7 episodes were technically Mandalorian episodes. Fans have dubbed those episodes Mandalorian Season 2.5 or prequels to Season 3, which they definitely were. Book of Boba Fett takes the second spot on the Star Wars rankings. Mandalorian Season 2 just has way more epic moments that hit way harder. Seeing Cad Bane was awesome, but having Ahsoka finally show up in live action was just phenomenal. Now, ranking each episode against each other goes like this. Chapter 6 is definitely my favorite. We get Mando back along with Grogu, Luke, and Ahsoka. We also finally get a live action take of Cad Bane. Chapter 5 comes in second, followed by Chapter 7, 1, 4, 3, and 2. You can find this entire Star Wars rankings list on Letterboxd under Cinematic Reviews. Well, that'll do it for this week's Star Wars episode. Next week, it's finally here. The Obi-Wan Kenobi series premieres on Disney Plus next Friday. Each week, I will be giving my reaction to the latest episode. This is the first for Cinematic Reviews, so I'm really excited about it. Also, join me every week for New Release Monday. But until then, may the Force be with you. Always.